Welcome back. Let's talk of infrastructure development in the country now. We've been told by World Bank that it will cost the country between $100 and $150 billion every year for the next 10 years to cover that gap. That was discovered by the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, which is an investment arm of the World Bank. We also have others saying it will cost about $20 billion. That's from the federal government. Every year, we have those saying it's 615 trillion naira, a whole lot. But for this year, 2023, we have 5.47 trillion naira for capital projects, not scratching the surface at all. And we've seen the federal government bring up a lot of policies in its efforts to cover this gap. How far have they gone? Have they been able to reach anything? And we do have those plans and policies also. But let's get the views of Dr. Nemeka Obiariri. He's an investment banker, joins us virtually this morning to discuss this. Dr. Obiariri, good morning. So, we hear so many huge figures, discouraging when we compare it to our reality and what we have in the budgets for 2023, at least, which is just about 5.47 trillion naira. But I mean, we have a lot of policies. We have the tax credit scheme, which I think the NNPC is doing its second phase now. We do have that revised National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan. Sometimes it just sounds like this beautiful ideas end up on paper, celebrated on television, ribbons cut, and then we're back to normal. Can you hear me, Dr. Obiariri?
I hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay, you can hear me now, so you didn't get the question, yes? So.
Yes, I get it.
Okay, so I'm asking, how far have we gone? We have the tax scheme for infrastructure development. We have the master plan, the revised National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan, which is supposed to take between 2020 to 2043. I mean, we don't seem to hear a whole lot about that now. We see NNPC now, a lot of people have criticized them that, can you please face your petroleum and leave the road construction and all of that. But all of this put together, how can we, let's assess, especially for this administration that's coming to an end in a couple of weeks, less than 3 weeks. How have they done when it comes to infrastructure development? How far have we gone as a country?
Just to thank you very much for having me. Nigeria is not short of ideas and policies, but the physical structures, the constitutional structures, and the quality of leadership that we have across the 3 tiers and arms of government have been the greatest impediment to our development. The reports out there, in fact, as early as 2007, under Okonjo-Iweala, this World Bank report has been there that for us to be able to fix the infrastructure system in Nigeria, we will be able to spend at least $3 trillion over the next 30 years, which is $100 billion per annum, which is correct, because if you run the numbers, you will see across sectors, scientifically driven, we will require at least $100 to $100 billion annually. And I will explain this to you. Let me just not digress. You ask about the performance of the federal government of Nigeria. I will take them up on one aspect. In 2017, April to be precise, the federal government of Nigeria with fanfare launched the infrastructure and the economic recovery growth plan, ERGP, a 143 pages glossy document. And one of the key provisions of that document was that between 2017 to 2020, December 31st, that they will do 2 million housing units and set up housing development fund of about 1 trillion naira. We are in 2023. 3 years after that expiration of the deadline that they gave. Where is the 2 million housing units they promised us? And where is the 1 trillion naira housing fund? In fact, last 2 weeks, they launched gleefully, celebrated 743 housing units out of 2 million housing units that they promised us. To fix the housing infrastructure in Nigeria, the other day, Fashola was on air, I think it was on Channel TV or I can't remember the channel, and he was angry. Somebody asked him about the number of housing deficits in Nigeria. Some have banded the figure of 20 million units, some have banded the figure of with 8 million, some have said 17. And he was so angry. And he was so passionately angry against the person that we are interviewing him and was saying to them that nobody is sure of the number of housing deficit. For 8 good years, Fashola was Minister for Housing. It did not occur to them that if there were no adequate research on the number of housing deficit in Nigeria, they should have been paneled one over the last 8 years. Because you cannot solve a problem, you not first of all research to know the root cause and how to solve it. To solve the housing problem in Nigeria, we require almost about 300 to 400 trillion naira over the next 30 years. To solve the road infrastructure problem in Nigeria, we require consistent investment. If you look at Nigeria today, we have a land mass of now around 23,000 square kilometers. Our road network is about 200,000. The only built element of it is about 50,000. South Africa, 1.2 million square kilometers. Road network of about 750,000 kilometers. Paved of almost about 200,000 kilometers. Even Pakistan here, with a road with a land mass of 762,000 square kilometers, have road network of about 268,000 kilometers and paved of 185,000 kilometers. Road infrastructure, housing infrastructure are key and critical infrastructure needs of any nation that want to develop, especially that of Nigeria. To fix the road deficit in Nigeria, we require consistent investment of about 1.5 to 2.5.
So Dr. Biari, one would be tempted to ask, is the problem about the funding or the policies, or is it just the implementation? For instance, let's look at Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. It's been under construction and rehabilitation like forever. You know, is it funding that is the problem? We've seen the money being celebrated and allocated, but the job just doesn't come to an end.
Let me come here. It's not the issue that we have, is the issue that centers around our constitutional, structural, and physical deformities. You know, I will explain this to you. Between 1960 to 1966, we had the greatest infrastructure revolution in Nigeria. Remember, at this particular golden period, there was no crude oil for us to harness. Most of the infrastructure that we developed in Nigeria were done using resources from agriculture, from coal, from cement, from cotton, from groundnut pyramid and all those stuff. Do you know why it worked well there? We had a constitutional and physical arrangement that allowed the regions to control their resources and pay 30% to the national treasury and 20% to the federal government, and they retained 50%. So it enabled the regions to compete. In fact, there was no attraction for anybody to go to the center, and there was no corruption as we have it today. That was why Ahmad Bello, being the leader of the NPC, refused to become prime minister. He sent his younger colleague, Tafa Bello, because he preferred to stay in the north to develop the north. The problem we have, Nigeria has capacity to produce and export goods not less than $300 billion annually, compared to the $47 billion we are doing. Why we have not been able to harness resources to be able to put the solution together? Because of our physical deformities. And we have argued this thing. As long as we are operating the kind of constitutional and physical arrangement that we have, there is no way we can unlock the huge potentials in this country. I'll give you an example. Land, constitutionally, is under the control of the states. Why are the federal government still involved in road and other things that has to do with the control of land infrastructure? If we have the kind of constitutional and fiscal arrangement that we have in place, we talked about the tax credits. I've argued it's a good innovation. But ask yourself this question. Tax in Nigeria is centralized, which is not supposed to be so. There was a time the governors of Rivers State went to court to challenge tax being a centralized thing. And I will give you an example. If taxes are centralized and the whole things are contributed into a pool, on what basis, under what structure? These are when you give tax credit, you're forgoing you're supposed to come to federation account. So the structure does not make it right, and that is why we are not sweating it.
Okay, Doctor. All right, Dr. Obiariri. Thank you so much. It's so deep. We have moved from the issue of constitutional amendments and all of that, running of the country generally. So, well, we have a new administration coming up, so we'll keep the conversation going, and hopefully they will listen, and some of these necessary changes will be effected so that we can see a change in the country. Thank you so much, Dr. Nnaemeka Obiariri, investment banker, for your time this morning.
Thanks for having me.